For thousands of years, a single bloodline ruled the North. House Stark survived the harshest winters, building a legacy from the freezing stone of Winterfell, and they did it using a very simple, very stable political currency: absolute honor. In the isolated North, honor meant stability. But the rest of Westeros operates on realpolitik, a system where raw power and deception outmuscle morality. That geographic isolation breaks when King Bobbert Baratheon invites Eddard Stark to serve as Hand of the King. Ned is forced to leave his stable, predictable ecosystem and travel to King's Landing, the epicenter of political manipulation. Stepping into the capital meant stepping into an unwinnable game, equipped with the wrong rulebook. The rigid morality that kept the Starks safe for generations was about to become their greatest liability. Soon after arriving, Ned discovers an enormous point of political leverage. Queen Cersei's children, including the heir to the throne, are not the king's. They are the product of treasonous incest. With this secret, Ned holds the power to secure the realm. But instead of executing a ruthless preemptive strike, he chooses the idealistic path. He confronts Cersei directly, offering her a chance to flee out of mercy. This flowchart details the mechanics of Ned's failure. By choosing to issue a warning, his strategy leads to a swift, brutal response: betrayal by the City Watch, arrest, and public execution. The ruthless alternative would have secured the throne. Ned's death proves a harsh reality. Absolute morality is a fatal vulnerability in a system designed to reward ruthlessness. The fallout of Ned's execution thrusts his son Robb Stark into war. On the battlefield, Robb is a brilliant tactician, crushing Lannister armies with ease. But politically, he is still operating under his father's flawed logic. War in Westeros requires alliances, and Robb secures a crucial one by promising to marry a daughter of House Frey. He breaks that contract to marry another woman for love. He prioritizes personal romance over cold statecraft. Breaking a political contract in this ecosystem carries a massive penalty. The Freys retaliate by slaughtering Robb, his mother, and his top commanders, under the supposedly sacred tradition of guest right. The Red Wedding systematically dismantles the Stark power structure. In a single stroke, they lose their military leader, their entire army, and their ancestral home to the Boltons. Superior enemy armies do not wipe out the first iteration of the Stark dynasty. Their own systemic inability to play politics finishes the job. For the scattered survivors, Sansa, Arya, and Jon, resurgence requires adaptation. They have to abandon their father's rigid moral framework to stay alive. Sansa spends her captivity absorbing the mechanics of psychological manipulation directly from the monsters holding her. She studies Cersei Lannister and Littlefinger, learning how to leverage secrets and exploit weaknesses. Across Bassi and Braavos, Arya strips away her noble identity entirely. She undergoes brutal physical and psychological training to master the art of deception, emerging as a lethal assassin. At the icy northern border, Jon Snow is forced into painful compromises. To defend the realm from the White Walkers, he forges an alliance with the Wildlings, a historically hated enemy, learning that survival requires bending ancient rules. The survivors stayed alive because they learned to fight with the same weapons used against them. They stopped trying to fix the world and started learning how to manipulate it. The true test of this new philosophy arrives at the Battle of the Bastards. It pits the newly evolved Starks against the pure, unrestrained ruthlessness of Ramsay Bolton. This tactical map illustrates what happens when Jon suffers a relapse into pure idealism. He charges blindly into the field to save his brother Rickon, throwing away his battle plan. His forces are quickly enveloped and crushed by a tightening semicircle of Bolton infantry. The Bolton lines are only broken when the Knights of the Vale arrive. Sansa secretly negotiated this alliance with Littlefinger and intentionally kept the information hidden from Jon. Winterfell is reclaimed because a Stark was willing to use secrecy and deception. Sansa's calculated silence saves the family in a moment where pure honor had previously failed them. House Stark survives by refusing to become entirely cynical like the Lannisters. They adopt ruthless tactics, but they never completely abandon the loyalty that defined their ancestors. Their ultimate strategy is the weaponization of honor. Combining tactical ruthlessness with deep northern loyalty creates a powerful hybrid. This balance propels the siblings to the highest power. Sansa secures the north, Bran becomes king, and Arya eliminates the Night King. The Starks' journey demonstrates that honor is a trap when it's the only tool available. But when that honor is tempered by calculated strategy, it becomes the foundation of a regime that actually lasts.